I've had the pleasure of working with Headway for the past 18 years, and in that time, I've come across some incredible challenges that people have taken on to raise awareness or to raise money to support people affected by brain injury. You know, some people have climbed the proverbial mountain. I think you know where I'm going with this one. Without further ado, I want to introduce some very special people who have done an incredible challenge, and I want them to tell you about it rather than me. So I'm not going to say anything more other than to invite the Team Everest team up on the stage, and you can tell your story.
Testing. Everyone hear me? Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yep. Okay. Afternoon, everyone. Good to see everyone. And I'm going to go quickly into it because I know time's limited. And sorry about my voice; it's starting to go. I was talking too much. We got interviewed from Radio Kydd there, so I'll try and keep quiet for once. Not easy for me. My name's Colin.
My name's Evelyn.
Nicholas. Peter.
Well, that was a bit loud.
And I'm Niall.
And to give you an idea, this is a group of guys. 5 of us have all had a traumatic brain injury. You'll see that as we go through the project. It's on the screen here. And hopefully what we're doing here goes on to inspire many other people.
You'll all be wondering how this began. I'm chairperson of Headway Perth Kinross, and my next door neighbour, well, he lives diagonally across the burn from me, he actually set up a charity called the Little Sherpa Foundation over in Nepal, and he asked me if I'd like to have him as a guest speaker at Headway, and I said yes, that would be fantastic. So he came and gave the talk, but he likes to get into the subject matter. So after the talk, he said, Evelyn, I would love to take people from with acquired brain injury over to Base Camp Everest. Do you know anybody that would be interested? And I said immediately, I know 2 people, my son, Niall, and Colin. And that's how the journey began. I got in touch with Colin, and he was absolutely delighted. It had always been on his bucket list. Could I point out I was never ever going to go, and it was never on my bucket list. But Colin said he would see if he could get other people, and that's how the journey began. Thank you.
Yeah, as Evelyn said, it was James that kind of kick-started this. Although it was an aspiration of mine to make it happen, the truth being I would never have found that way without that phone call. And so right away, before I forgot, I thought I better make this call. I was actually on my way to Dundee at the time. I run the group up at Dundee for Headway. And that call sparked it all, and very quickly things started to move. That was towards the end of 2023. And it was then a case of let's get people together. I knew these guys, I knew Niall. Peter I knew from Headway East Lothian. Nicholas I hadn't yet at that point, but I was fortunate to meet him at excuse me, this is really going, at a Scottish Head Injury Information Forum conference, and his words to me were, if you're going, don't forget about me. Which ain't easy saying it to somebody with a brain injury, to be honest. And that was us. We got a group of people together. Unfortunately, things changed for some people. Some people, although they were all for it, didn't understand all the difficulties that they had. And so some people came in initially, but then had to drop out, which left us with 5. The 5th person with the traumatic brain injuries, Mike. Unfortunately, Mike couldn't make today. And there you'll see a picture of us here. This is Team Base Camp, and we were fortunate to get the opportunity to meet the First Minister. And You can see everyone there. Mike is the second one in the left there. And James, for some reason, is trying to hide behind the First Minister. As I said, he's the one that made this happen, and personally, I'm forever thankful for that. Okay, who's on the warm-up?
So, the warm-ups we did in order to essentially get team bonding, right? So, you know, we all had to get to know each other, get physically fit and ready. But, you know, this gave us a good chance to all come together and go for hikes, walks, talks to each other, learn how annoying each other are going to be. You know, so yeah. And then also we just had some extras in there as well. But then some of those couldn't come with us and things like that. But no, it was a fantastic experience. The warm-ups were also a very good memory. We went to various locations, various different hikes, things like that. Even my dog came along. You can see my dog in the top right photo at the bottom, and that's Annie. But yeah, no, it was a very fond experience.
We set off from Edinburgh and landed in Kathmandu. And I have to say, the welcome we got when we arrived at the airport, you'd have thought we were kings and queens. It was fantastic. There was banners, there was TV cameras, because we were filming a documentary as well. So that really set the scene of how the journey moved from then on. We had some tourists, we had to acclimatise, so we were in Kathmandu for 2 days, and we did touristy things, which you do when you go to a new country, and just fantastic.
I should add, excuse me, this hasn't been rehearsed because obviously there's brain injury involved, short-term memory, so all we're going to do today is just wing it, as we say.
Best way.
When we arrived in Lukla, before we set off from Kathmandu, we went into not the international airport, but the domestic airport to get the flight to Lukla. Well, that was a shock to the system. I was always brought up that you went to the toilet before you went anywhere. So I went to the what looked like a toilet, but it wasn't a toilet. It was a hole in the ground. And you have to take your own toilet paper everywhere. The whole journey, you had to buy your own toilet paper and take it. And then we got on the flight eventually, and that was an experience and a half. If you've ever heard about flight to Lukla, it's the shortest runway you've ever seen in your life. You come down and whoom, and you have to turn immediately because there's a wall in front of you. So we'll move on from there.
There you go. Trek day one, Lukla to Pak Ding. It's actually a very short walk. As you can see, height-wise, we're going down, but this is all part of the acclimatisation process.
Can I just say that that wee person there, yeah, that wee one on the left with the white hat on, away behind everybody else, that was just me thinking, oh, bugger it, I can't go. So
as you can see in these photographs, if you start at the left-hand side, you don't really get a true measure of how steep this is. You try to by looking at the first person and looking at the person at the back, but this is probably not the steepest part that we were on. And we're going to come on to the middle picture, because this was Nicholas who went a wee wander.
This is Nicholas's Wee Wonder Day. I think that's how we all titled it. So essentially what was happening is we were obviously doing a documentary and things, and I was busy doing some filming, and then I ended up in the middle of the group line, I suppose, on the trek. And Niall and one of the Sherpas went up ahead of me just a bit, and then I tried to catch up. But then when I caught up, I actually went past them without seeing them, because there was a checkpoint somewhere, and there was like military guards and everything, and then there's just me with my Scottish flag just like walking through while everyone's there, and they just let me walk straight past without having to do any checks or anything, because, you know, Scotsmen on a mission, you don't mess with them. So anyway, so I ended up arriving at Namche, which was some climb by myself, and I ended up, I think it was about 4 hours early or something like that, because I was just like, where is Niall and this Sherpa? I'm like, how fast are they going? And I was just going, and I just ended up getting there so quickly. And then I got there, and then there was obviously no one was there, and I found this other Sherpa that somehow knew one of our Sherpas, and he rang Tashi, our Sherpa. And Tashi was like, "Yeah, there, what? How are you that far already? Wow. And I was like, "You just wait there." And I was like, "Okay, right, I'll wait here now." But yeah, I had to wait like 4 hours or something like that. But it was all right. It was enjoyable 4 hours, a little break.
Could I point out that Tashi was our leader, and Tashi knows everybody in Nepal, absolutely everybody. And he had phoned every Sherpa in the region to find out where this man had disappeared to.
Thankfully, it was an easy spot because he had that big salter on the top of his bag. There we go. Namche to Kimjung. That was a very hard walk out of Namche. Right away as you leave Namche, you're on a steep hill. There's no getting away from it. And as you can see, there's some great pictures. I love the fact that Nicholas, I might add, didn't take the flag with him. He actually got it over there.
So, sorry, I was just nodding. Yeah, so that flag I actually brought over from Scotland, but the pole, I made it out of some bamboo that we found in the lower regions where bamboo was growing. And I basically, it was like to Tashi, the guide, I was like, oh, we should get some bamboo and make a flag pole and stick this on there. So he jumped over like down a cliffside or something to help me get this bamboo. And then we got the bamboo, and then we were passing a nearby like little house, like village house in the mountains, and somebody had some thread, and we put the thread and bamboo in the saltire flag. And the next thing you know, I was, carrying that on my backpack the whole way through, and my word, it really was good.
There we go. Kimjung via Mongla to Portsea. Portsea is where our Sherpa guide is from, Tashi. He's the one, the orange in the middle here, and he's also the one helping, assisting with Peter. I don't know if Peter wants to tell you the difference that made to his trek.
Oh, right. Yes, this one on here. I'm semi-blind that side, so coming down, you'd put your foot on the bit that went, whoosh, and you think, oh, bugger it, I've fallen over. And there go my specs. So they had to help me just keep upright on the way down. But the great thing is, when I got home, I had big scabs all the way up there. And a friend said, oh, how did you get that? I said, oh, I was just climbing the hill. He said, where about? Do you know where the law at North Berwick is? The wee hill at North Berwick. It's about 600 feet. I said, no, I've been up to the base camp. Where's the base camp? I said, bloody look, over there. Everest. Yes. Bloody hell. And that was just wonderful. I wanted to collect my scabs and put them in a bag, but that...
He's not kidding. No, we're not telling them that part. This one here, en route from Portsea. What I should say, when we were at Portsea, we stayed there for a couple of nights. That's where Tashi's from. Unfortunately, two of the guys got a chest infection. Mike and James both got a chest infection there. And James especially was struggling that next day so badly, we didn't think he was going to be able to continue walking. So that's why we went to Pang Bosch. That wasn't the scheduled stop, but that's where James went to get assistance, medical assistance, who got him onto the antibiotics, which thankfully made a big difference to him. What you can see in that left-hand side picture with us, and where that pass is, that is Everest in the background, where you see what looks like the snow coming off the peak there. That's kind of one of the best views you get en route to Everest. And that was day 5 trekking. The picture on the bottom right here, this is at Pine Bosch, and us being the people we are, we just like to talk. And we were speaking to other trekkers who've seen our hoodies and wanted to know more about brain injury. So we were making them aware of brain injury and the impact on each of us, how it happened, and we all told a little bit of our story, which for some of the guys wasn't easy. But I do know all the people we met started to follow us on our page, which was on Facebook, which was Heading to Everest. And there you've got James in the top right one there. As I said, he was struggling badly with his chest infection. And that's Mike also, who had the chest infection. So for them, that climb to there was very difficult. I can't begin to imagine. And of course, we had quite a number of stops. And that's something you do on the trek. You're not walking all day. You are stopping when you need to stop, wherever you are, whether it be a wee village for a coffee or just in the middle of nowhere. Trek day 7. This was a big one.
As you can see, Neil wasn't well that day. In fact, he really wasn't well. He had a wee bit of the sickness and diarrhoea, shall we say.
Being sick.
And in the bottom picture, Neil was always out in front, so he's very seldom in any of the photographs. But this one, Neil's lying on the ground there, he has had it. And this was only about 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. So, but he rallied round, as he always does. He's a determined young man, and got going again.
Yeah, I think it's something to highlight here, because on that day, as Evelyn said, Neil wasn't well, really not well. Because of that, he wasn't able to take in any food or fluid. And as you can see, this was the impact of that. And I had to sweet talk him and to get some food, just a little bit inside him, plenty of fluid, because at that point he was struggling badly. As you can see, La Boche is where we got, and we're all wide awake. Sorry. As it says, man down, La Boche. Mike had been struggling for days, quite a number of days, just to breathe. And obviously, as you're going up in altitude, there's less oxygen. Tied in with having a chest infection, he was really not looking good at all. And Tashi, who's in the red jacket here, every day he'd be testing our oxygen levels as we went up in height. And round about La Boche, we should have been round about the 70s. Mike, unfortunately, was in the 60s. It's still doable, but it's going to be a struggle. We got him onto the oxygen there, just while he relaxed. To give you an idea of how bad it was for him, the place we were at, which is called a tea house, the toilet was about 20 yards from the room, and he got up through the night to go to the toilet, and he was totally out of breath when he came back to the room. And Tashi had done his stats, and his oxygen levels were down at 45. So for anybody that knows oxygen levels, you'll not get out of the hospital if you're under 90. And so there was a decision to be made. And of course, it's down to Mike. We looked at options. One could be to hire a horse, believe it or not. To hire oxygen, get oxygen tank for him to continue. But we felt it was too much of a risk, and for that reason, if you look at the left-hand picture, that was a very emotional day as we said cheerio to him, and Mike had to go to a lower altitude, and we'd catch up with him in the days to come. Well, had to get that one in.
You going to say...
That's how demanding the trek is. That's us arriving at a tea house. I think it's lunchtime, actually. I don't think it's evening. It looks like lunchtime. But And you'll notice we've got sunburnt noses because we all got sunburnt. We had absolutely fantastic weather. We were really fortunate the weather. We didn't get rain until we actually got back to Lukla to fly home. But that's how demanding it is and what the toll it takes on your body.
You said our noses, I was thinking more of our eyes.
I think they can see that.
Snoring our heads off. Now, I'm glad to say I've managed to get this printed, and I've got a copy of it at home, and I'm going to photocopy one and send it over here.
Thank you.
It was just, I love that photo. It was maybe daft, but there you go.
Track day 9, Gorak Ship. Gorak Ship is the last stopping point you've got before base camp. It's certainly not a village, it's just accommodation. It actually looks to me as if it's something that's just been put on the moon in the middle of nowhere. As you can see, 5 AM was the start, and we had the head torches on. For some of us, yes. Some of us were also not well and had to hang back at the toilet, that's all I'm saying. And you can't make the picture out, but as you see, it says above Peter and Tashi. Tashi was assisting Peter most of the trek. In between us all, we all helped out, but Tashi more so than anyone. And as you can see, as the morning moved on, this is still the early hours of the morning we were there. It's a short walk, but although the miles that you trek aren't far, because you're up, down and round mountains, it takes far longer than it would on flat ground. And there we go.
You'll notice we've all got hoodies on. We were sponsored by a company in Edinburgh. It's actually a friend of mine's who agreed to sponsor us, and he gave us hoodies. He gave us water bottles similar to this water bottle. And we actually had extra water bottles, and we were able to give it some to the guides that were with us. And one of the water bottles actually went up to Everest, the top of Everest, 5 times in 14 days. So.
Just got to bring you back. Is this working? Yeah. Just got to bring you back to get an idea of how you felt when you got to base camp.
When I got up to base camp, Niall had been there half an hour before the rest of us. But when I got to base camp, I couldn't do anything. I sat down and I cried and cried and cried and cried. I was so emotional. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would get to base camp. I thought if I get to the village of Fortsey, I'll be lucky. But I got to base camp and it was just, they should have had a bucket for me. In fact, I was really annoyed that Mike wasn't there because he was a great cuddler and he was the one that would cuddle you when you were really struggling, and I really missed him. I mean, everybody gave everybody else a cuddle, but Mick just had that cuddle about him, you know, just a comforting cuddle. But that was minus 12 degrees there, could I point out?
I was sweating.
My thoughts on that are just, I can't remember it, and then I've got to look at the pictures again and again and again. The one thing that wasn't great was we were being talked to by people who were interviewing us and whatever, and we were all going, Christ, when are we going? I'm bloody freezing. And we were. It was minus, 12? And we're just hanging about, getting a wee bit angry, but there you go. Not too bad.
It's coming to me. My thoughts on when we arrived at base camp, I thought it was truly a special moment for the team, really, for a group of people that have suffered brain injuries to actually do it. It was amazing. And to think back, when I was there, I was thinking back about, you know, how we actually got here. What are the things we had to do to actually come here? It takes me back to the speech that I gave in Edinburgh where I first met Colin afterwards, and I said, if you go, don't go without me. You know, it took me back, and it was fantastic. And to think that we actually managed to get there was absolutely incredible. And like as Evelyn said, it was really emotional. We all had our own, thoughts and like individual things, maybe some things that were given to us from family to leave behind or something like that. But it was truly special as a group to actually overcome the odds with brain injury and get to base camp, which was fantastic. But yeah, we were angry at the end, you're right. But that was at the end, and you're all just like, right, we've been here, right, let's go, and you're freezing. But yeah, no, that's good.
Over half an hour, aren't you guys?
Yeah, Neil was half an hour in. Is there anything?
Quite quickly scoot through this because I see we're already behind schedule. This is us on the way back down. This was a long climb back down the way to Thukla. To Teng Bosch, which is where we ended up meeting back up with Mike, who unfortunately still wasn't well. He hadn't got the medical treatment that he really needed. And we'll come to that, you'll see that further in. And quickly, we're time limited.
Right, really
quick. What's happening here?
Okay, so if you look here in the bottom right photograph, we were obviously at Teng Boche Monastery, and we found a rugby ball. And me and Neil, being the rugby people we are, and Colin being a football person, really, but hey-ho. We managed to get everyone involved, and me and Neil and Colin and Tashi there, we were all teaching the monks how to pass the rugby ball around, so it was a really wholesome moment as well, sharing a little bit of our culture and them sharing theirs. It was fantastic, and we made a lot of friends then as well. But yeah, it was a good laugh.
As it says, we're back down to the Namche. As you can see in the second picture in there, that's Mike. We did hire a horse. Just for him that plans to go, it costs $100 to take you from the bottom of the ravine back up to the opposite side. And it was from that point we had to get Mike to the hospital, to be honest. He wasn't too good. That's just a quick thank you to everyone that supported us, donated and sponsored us to reach Everest Base Camp. We are forever thankful for everyone and their support out with that. And now just a quick video. Thank you. And as it says there, Mike, we stopped at Namche, and that's where me and Mike left the rest of the group. He was helicoptered over to Kathmandu into a private hospital, and very quickly made a recovery. And that's our final message.
Thank you very, very much, guys. Absolutely amazing. So, apart from the obvious why and how, has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask the team? Yo, hands going up here. So,
Hiya, Evelyn, especially for you. How was that rope bridge walk?
Never mind that rope bridge. There was 15 of them. We worked out a system because I am terrified of bridges, especially swinging bridges. And when I noticed that we were going to be going over a bridge, I just freaked out. But this was before I went. So we worked out a system that I would hold on to the person in front of me's rucksack. Somebody would carry my poles. I'd hold on to their rucksack and hold on to one of the railings. It was too wide to have to do it yourself. And the railings are spiky, they're very jaggy, and Nam Wang, the other leader, he tried to take my hand off the thing at one point, and I just screamed. I just stood in the middle of the bridge and screamed. I said, no, I've got to hold on, I've got to hold on. But terrifying, and that was me conquering my fears.
any other? A couple of questions. I think lady here had a. Did you have a hand?
How long did it take you, and how did you deal with altitude sickness if you had that?
It took us 15 days up and down. We were away for 22 days, and we had 2 days in Kathmandu before we set off on our trek, and 3 days on the way back. We came back a day early because the weather was closing in. And as you can see, it's a very small aircraft. And the day before we were due to fly out, there was no flights, and there was 400 people waiting to get. That's the only way you can get off Lukla, unless you want to walk even further. So what was the other part I was going to say? I've forgotten. Oh, the altitudes. We all had to have altitude sickness tablets, and you got a tablet, and you took half in the morning and half at night. So at breakfast, have you taken your tablet? And at night, have you taken your tablet? You could take your other tablets yourself, but this altitude one, you had to take the tablet. You did suffer a wee bit from altitude, but nothing like Mike did. He really suffered.
Can I just say from my experience, so I've recently been kind of forced to climb Ben Lomond's against my will, and I'm relatively young and fit and do not have a brain injury. It was 3 hours up, 3 hours down, and it was one of the worst days of my life. So honestly, what an inspiration. Like, that is incredible. Like, I think Ben Lomond's about 3,000 feet. Yeah. So how far did you go? 17,000?
5,364 metres.
Incredible.
Wow.
Honestly,
I'm a hill walker.
I'm in awe.
I'm a hill walker, so I'm used to climbing. I am personally used to climbing that.
I just walk on the beach. So it's nice and flat. Oh,
One more question
hello.
down here, then we'll have to.
Hello. Is it David? Is that your name?
Peter.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Peter, I wanted to ask what it was like for you with Tashi being so close to the drop with your vision. You know, can you describe what that was like?
You don't notice your lack of sight here. I can't see him until you sort of fall down and scrape your knee. you get used to it, but by sort of double checking where your foot's going to go and whatever. And to go on from there, that was great for me. The thing that was actually best for me the whole time we were there is everybody had like diarrhea and various other things. I'm the only person that didn't have any of that. I was so clean.
Well, listen, I think I'll speak for us all.
We beg to differ.
You guys are an absolute inspiration to us. So whether you got a brain injury or not, what you did was incredible. The fact that those of you who have a brain injury did this and conquered it is even more special. I know you'll be forever proud. You should be. So on behalf of us all here, once again, thank you and congratulations.